Ladies and gentlemen, there are times in life when we feel surrounded by unseen forces, energies that drain our peace, thoughts that disturb our minds, and fears that make us restless. In those moments, it's not just physical strength we need, but spiritual protection, something that shields our heart and mind from negativity. One of the most powerful teachings for this comes from the Atanatiya Sutta, a profound guide on how to protect ourselves from harmful and evil influences through the power of truth, mindfulness, and compassion. This isn't about magic or superstition. It's about understanding the power of purity within. The Atanatiya Sutta reminds us that protection starts when our mind stands unshaken. When we walk the path of kindness, honesty, and calm awareness, even the darkest energies cannot harm us. Fear feeds evil, but peace weakens it. The more still your mind becomes, the less control negativity has over you. Imagine a flame in the wind. If the flame flickers, darkness takes advantage. But when that flame burns steadily, it becomes a beacon. That is what the Sutta teaches, to stabilize the flame of your consciousness so that no evil can enter. Every moment you choose peace over anger, forgiveness over hatred, compassion over cruelty, you are building a wall of protection stronger than steel. The Atanatiya Sutta also reminds us of the power of recitation, not merely as words, but as vibrations that align our spirit with truth. When we recite or even reflect upon the teachings, our energy transforms. It becomes radiant, calm, and untouchable. Evil cannot survive where there is light, and your mindfulness is that light. True protection is not something given from outside. It rises from within you. When your heart is pure, when your thoughts are grounded in goodness, you become untouchable. No curse, no dark intention, no spirit can harm a mind that rests in awareness and compassion. The greatest shield is a clear conscience and a loving heart. So the next time you feel afraid of unseen forces or negativity, remember this: peace itself is your armor. The moment you choose calmness, you disarm the darkness. The Atanatiya Sutta is not just a text. It is a reminder that the ultimate power lies in your awakened mind. You are not defenseless. You are already protected by the strength of your inner truth, your compassion, and your unshakable peace. Inner peace is not just a calm feeling. It is a shield that protects us from everything that seeks to disturb our mind and spirit. When we are filled with fear, anger, or confusion, we become vulnerable to negative energies, both internal and external. The Atanatiya Sutta reminds us that true strength lies not in fighting darkness, but in maintaining stillness amid chaos. When the mind is at peace, it cannot be shaken by evil thoughts or harmful forces. Just as a mountain stands unmoved against the wind, a peaceful mind stands firm against fear and negativity. This peace does not appear suddenly. It must be cultivated. Every moment we choose to breathe deeply, instead of reacting in anger, every time we forgive, instead of seeking revenge, we are building that shield of inner calm. The more we practice mindfulness, the stronger our protection becomes. Negative energies thrive in minds that are restless and unbalanced. But when our inner world is calm and steady, those energies find no space to exist. They dissolve naturally in the light of awareness, Think of the mind as a lake. When the water is still, it reflects everything clearly. The sky, the trees, the light. But when disturbed by waves of anger or fear, the reflection disappears. In the same way, when our thoughts are chaotic, we lose touch with the truth of who we are. Inner peace restores that clarity. It connects us with a deeper strength, a natural state of purity that cannot be harmed by any external darkness, even when we face moments of pain or uncertainty. We can choose not to let them control us. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to practice calmness. The Atanatiya Sutta's message is simple yet powerful. Protection is not about escaping danger, but transforming our inner state so that danger loses its power over us. A person who cultivates peace becomes like a lamp in a dark room. The darkness cannot touch the light. In silence, in meditation, and in mindful living, we begin to realize that our peace is our greatest weapon. It is stronger than fear, more enduring than any evil. When we anchor ourselves in stillness, we discover that no harm can reach the heart that remains calm, compassionate, and awake. Purity is a force more powerful than any weapon or ritual. It begins within the heart and radiates outward, creating a natural barrier that no darkness can penetrate. When the heart is filled with compassion, honesty, and goodwill, there is no space left for fear, hatred, or evil influences to enter. The Atanatiya Sutta teaches that protection does not come from external charms or supernatural means. It arises from the purity of our intentions and the clarity of our actions. A mind free from greed, jealousy, and anger becomes a fortress of light, untouched by negativity. When we live with integrity, every thought, word, and action aligns with truth. This alignment produces an energy that repels all that is harmful. Evil thrives in deception and impurity, but it cannot survive in the presence of genuine goodness. Each time we choose kindness over cruelty, patience over irritation, or love over resentment, we strengthen that field of purity around us. It is not about perfection, but about sincerity, the willingness to stay true to what is right, even when no one is watching. The essence of purity also lies in forgiveness. Holding grudges or resentment pollutes the heart, giving negativity a place to hide. But when we forgive, we cleanse our spirit and make it impossible for darkness to remain. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is a declaration of strength. It shows that we will not allow pain or bitterness to control us. The Atanatiya Sutta reminds us that the pure-hearted person naturally radiates peace, and that peace becomes their strongest protection. Purity also involves how we treat our thoughts. When we allow jealousy, pride, or anger to rule our mind, we open the door to suffering. But when we purify our thoughts through mindfulness, compassion, and understanding, we close that door forever. It is not about fighting evil. It is about outshining it with the light of virtue. Just as darkness disappears the moment light enters, so too does negativity vanish when purity fills our heart. In every act of kindness, in every gentle thought, we are cleansing our spirit. The more we nurture purity within, the stronger our protection becomes. The energy of a pure heart is radiant and unshakable, guiding us safely through any darkness that life may bring. Mindfulness is the foundation of all spiritual strength. It is the awareness that keeps the mind awake, alert, and free from the control of negativity. When we live mindfully, we observe our thoughts and emotions without letting them dominate us. This observation itself becomes a powerful form of protection. The Atanatiya Sutta teaches that awareness is like a light in the dark. It exposes every shadow, every harmful influence, and renders it powerless. A mindful person is not easily shaken by fear or confusion, because they have learned to watch rather than react. In moments of anger or distress, mindfulness helps us pause. That small pause is where true power lies. It allows us to see clearly before we speak or act, preventing negative forces from taking root in our hearts. Without mindfulness, our mind becomes a battlefield, filled with doubt, anxiety, and emotional turmoil. But with mindfulness, that same mind becomes a temple of calmness and wisdom. It is not about suppressing emotions. It is about understanding them deeply and letting them pass without resistance. The practice of mindfulness transforms ordinary experiences into opportunities for inner strength. Even in the middle of chaos, a mindful person can remain steady like a mountain. When thoughts of fear or anger arise, mindfulness sees them for what they are, temporary visitors. By refusing to feed these thoughts, we cut off their power. The energy that was once used for worry and fear becomes energy for peace and clarity. That is how mindfulness protects us from being consumed by darkness. Every breath we take consciously strengthens our inner defense. Each moment of presence builds resilience. Mindfulness connects us to the reality of the present moment, where no evil can truly exist. Negativity only grows in the past or future, in regrets, fears, and what-ifs. But mindfulness lives only in now, where peace resides. The more we train our awareness, the more unshakable we become. The Atanatiya Sutta reminds us that protection is not merely external chanting or ritual. It is the power of a disciplined, aware mind. When mindfulness becomes our way of life, no outside force can disturb us. A mind that knows itself, that observes calmly without judgment, becomes invincible. A radiant space of awareness, untouched by any form of darkness. Recitation and faith hold a profound power that goes beyond words. When sacred teachings like the Atanatiya Sutta are recited with mindfulness and sincerity, they become vibrations that cleanse the heart and uplift the spirit. Each verse carries the energy of truth and compassion, and when spoken or reflected upon with faith, it aligns the mind with a state of harmony and protection. It is not the sound alone that protects, but the awareness and intention behind it. When the mind is concentrated and filled with trust, even a single verse becomes a powerful shield against fear and negativity. Faith strengthens the heart and gives it courage to face unseen challenges. It is a quiet yet unbreakable confidence that no darkness can prevail over light. When we recite with faith, our mind becomes focused, calm, and steady. The energy that once wandered in fear now flows toward peace. That focus itself is protection, because an unwavering mind cannot be easily disturbed. The Atanatiya Sutta teaches that these sacred words remind us of the universal truth, that good always overcomes evil, and awareness always dispels ignorance. When we engage in recitation, we are not calling upon external powers to save us. We are awakening the protective strength already within. Each repetition is a reminder of our connection to compassion and wisdom. The sound of the sutta becomes like a rhythm that steadies the breath, anchors the mind, and surrounds us with positive energy. Through consistent recitation, our inner vibration begins to change, and negativity finds no space to dwell. It is like tuning an instrument. The more precisely we align with truth, the clearer and more harmonious our life becomes. Faith transforms fear into trust. It teaches us to let go of doubts and rest in the certainty that peace is stronger than any evil. The more deeply we believe in the power of goodness, the less we are affected by darkness. In this way, recitation and faith are not mere rituals. They are practices that strengthen our spiritual core. They remind us that we are not alone, that the light of awareness is always present within us. When the voice of faith rises from the heart, every vibration carries protection, every sound becomes sacred, and every moment turns into a prayer of peace and strength. Compassion is the purest form of strength, and it has the power to dissolve darkness without conflict. When the heart radiates kindness and understanding, no evil can survive in its presence. Compassion transforms negative energy by neutralizing it with love. It does not resist or attack. It simply shines so brightly that darkness fades away on its own. The Atanatiya Sutta reflects this truth through its message of harmony and protection, reminding us that a compassionate heart is the greatest weapon against fear, hatred, and evil. When we feel anger or hatred toward others, we unknowingly create suffering within ourselves. That suffering becomes the very energy that attracts negativity. But when we replace that anger with compassion, we break the chain of harm. Compassion allows us to see that every being, even those who act with cruelty, suffers from ignorance and pain. Instead of reacting with hostility, we respond with understanding, and that understanding frees us. In that moment, we become untouchable. Darkness cannot harm a heart that chooses to love instead of hate. Practicing compassion is not weakness, it is an act of great courage. It requires us to rise above our ego and respond from the deeper truth within us. Compassion demands patience, forgiveness, and empathy. It teaches us to listen rather than judge, to help rather than harm. Each act of kindness, no matter how small, generates energy that heals not only others but ourselves. This healing vibration expands outward, creating a circle of peace that shields us from negativity. When we cultivate compassion through thoughts, speech, and actions, our entire being begins to radiate peace. The environment around us transforms, and those near us feel safer, calmer, and more uplifted. Compassion disarms hostility. It melts the armor of anger and replaces it with understanding. Even when others try to harm us, our calm and loving response becomes a mirror that reflects their darkness back as light. The Atanatiya Sutta reminds us that compassion is not just an emotion, it is a spiritual force that connects all beings. It bridges the gap between suffering and healing, fear and courage, darkness and light. When compassion becomes the core of our being, we discover that no evil can ever touch the heart that continuously gives love without expecting anything in return. Awakening the inner light is the realization that true protection does not come from outside, but from within. Every person carries a source of strength, wisdom, and purity deep inside. But most are unaware of it, because their attention remains focused on the external world. The Atanatiya Sutta teaches that the moment we turn inward and recognize our inner light, we awaken a power greater than any darkness. This light is the essence of awareness, the consciousness that observes everything yet remains untouched by fear, pain, or evil. When we live from this awareness, no negative force can overpower us, because we no longer identify with weakness or confusion. This inner light is not something we need to create. It is always present, like the sun hidden behind clouds. Meditation, reflection, and mindfulness help clear those clouds, allowing the light to shine freely. When the mind becomes still and the heart opens with compassion, this radiance emerges naturally. It illuminates our thoughts, purifies our emotions, and strengthens our energy. In this state, we begin to see clearly that fear and darkness exist only when we forget who we truly are. Awareness brings us back to that truth. It reminds us that the light within is eternal and indestructible. The more we connect with this inner light, the more peace we experience, and the less we are influenced by negativity around us. It acts as a spiritual armor, protecting us from harmful energies and guiding us toward wise decisions. When we awaken to this power, we no longer seek protection through fear, but through understanding. We realize that darkness cannot exist where light is consciously present. This realization frees us from anxiety and doubt, and gives us confidence to walk through life with calmness and clarity. The Atanatiya Sutta's deeper message is that awakening this light is not just for self-protection. It is for spreading peace to others as well. A person who has discovered their inner radiance naturally becomes a beacon for others lost in confusion or despair. Their presence itself becomes healing. When we nurture this inner flame through meditation, right intention, and compassion, it grows stronger each day. Eventually, it becomes so bright that no evil can approach it, and no fear can survive in its glow. In that awakened state, we live in harmony, guided and guarded by the light of our own consciousness. Thanks for watching.